Imagine having like an audience of over 20 million people.
Which is just a staggering number to even visualize.
Right. It's huge. You have your own television show on Netflix. You have this massive merchandise empire that's spanning multiple retail stores.
Yeah, you've hit the absolute peak.
Exactly. You've published best-selling books, you've developed your own games, and your primary digital channel is still pulling in 25 million views every single month.
Which is, Super Bowl level reach every month.
By every conceivable metric of modern success, you have won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you are completely untouchable.
Or so you would think, right?
Right. Because then, despite all of those staggering numbers, today, you still have to walk into your studio and fire almost your entire staff.
It's a mathematical impossibility that is currently destroying some of the internet's big haters.
It really is.
It sounds like a paradox, honest. I mean, how do you go bankrupt with an audience the size of a small country?
Yeah.
But that is exactly the reality we are exploring today.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We are so thrilled to have you here with us. And our mission today is to examine this fascinating and frankly kind of terrifying transcript we've been reviewing.
From the pop culture commentary channel Clownfish TV, yeah.
Right. The core topic they're discussing is the sudden, massive collapse of the YouTube animation community. But we need to be really clear right off the bat here. This isn't just a niche story about online cartoons.
No, far from it. What we are really looking at here is a critical case study on modern platform economics.
Exactly.
We're looking at the massive unintended consequence of relying on artificial intelligence for moderation and ultimately just the extreme fragility of digital empires.
The house of cards.
It really is.
Yeah.
We are witnessing this fundamental structural shift away from a creator-driven meritocracy where the best content naturally rises to the top into this heavily engineered, top-down corporate focus.
Okay, let's unpack this. So I want to give you a concrete visual for what is actually happening.
I think the mall analogy you mentioned earlier is perfect for this.
Right. So imagine you've spent 10 years building a booming artisan retail store inside a massive shopping mall.
Yeah.
Business is absolutely incredible.
You've got foot traffic, loyal customers.
You've got a huge customer base. Your window displays are perfect. You are like a pillar of the community. Then one day, the mall owners completely redraw the architectural map of the entire building.
Just overnight.
Overnight, so no one can even find your hallway anymore. And, to make matters worse, they fire all the human security guards and they replace them with robots.
And those robots.
Those robots just go ahead and lock your doors because their programming fundamentally doesn't understand what it is you actually sell.
The mall analogy works perfectly, but let's take it one step further. It's not just that the robot security guards lock your doors.
Right.
It's that the mall owners are actively ushering your loyal customers into a newly built automated dollar store right next to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
While keeping all the profits for themselves. The architecture of the platform itself is shifting underneath these creeps.
It's pulling the rug out.
Completely. And to truly understand the scale of this collapse, we really have to look at the collateral. We need to look at the biggest titan of this specific genre.
We really do. So the Clownfish TV analysis points directly to a channel called The Odd Ones Out.
Run by a creator named James.
Right. And we need to establish just how massive this operation. We are talking about the absolute apex predator of the YouTube animation space.
20 million subscribers.
20 million. And as we mentioned, he parlayed that digital success into a Netflix deal, book deals, merchandise lines, board games.
He basically executed the exact playbook every business school would tell you to follow, right?
Yeah.
To solidify your brand.
Yes, he achieves the gold standard.
He diversified his income stream. He expanded his intellectual property far beyond just a single digital distributor.
Which is what everyone tells you to do.
Exactly. You look at a portfolio like that and you naturally assume he is entirely insulated from any minor platform fluctuation. Like if algorithm traffic dips a few percentage, the board game sales or the Netflix royalties should theoretically act as a shock.
Right. You think he's too big to fail. But the reality on the ground is just dark. This month, despite all of that massive diversified success, he had to lay off almost his entire animation staff.
Which is just heartbreaking.
It is. We are talking about a highly skilled team of 30 people.
Yeah.
Gone.
And that is the detail that should make anyone paying attention to the digital economy stop and take note.
Left.
When a creator at that level is forced into mass layoffs, it tells us that the underlying environment itself is fundamentally broken.
It's not a fluke.
No, we are no longer talking about a single bad business or a creator just, losing touch with their audience. We are looking at an environment collapse.
But wait, I have to push back here for a sec because this is where the math stops making sense to me.
Okay, let's hear it.
The numbers provided in the analysis are staggering. They mentioned his channel is currently pulling in around 25 million views a month. Now, 25 million views is essentially a Super Bowl commercial level of reach. Ad rates fluctuate, sure, but raw volume like that has to pay the bills.
You would certainly think so.
Right. Like, are we absolutely sure this isn't just a natural business cycle? Maybe he just overexpanded his team and his overhead got too high.
It's the logical question to ask, and it's exactly why we have to look past the vanity metric of raw view. We have to examine the survival metric of actual ad revenue.
Okay, break that down for me.
Out of those 25 million monthly views, the data points out that roughly 18 million of them are coming from shorts.
Huh?
The long-form video views, the traditional 10 to 15-minute animations that actually built the channel in the first place, have collapsed down to roughly 6.7 million a month.
Okay, but a view is a view, right? I mean, why does the format matter if the eyeballs are still there?
Because you were thinking in terms of traditional television or legacy digital metrics,
Right.
where an advertiser buys an ad specifically to play before your video, and you split that revenue directly with the platform.
Yeah, the class.
But the mechanics of short-form monetization are completely different. When viewers are endlessly swiping through a feed of shorts, an ad might only appear every, say, 5 or 10 swipes.
Right, they aren't on every video.
Exactly. So the platform pools all that ad money together and divvies it up based on this highly complex, completely opaque formula of overall watch time and music license.
So it's the black box.
A total black box. The creator is no longer getting a direct cut of an ad placed on their specific content. They are getting a microscopic fraction of a mass.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because the disparity in how those two types of videos are monetized is the entire ball game.
What's fascinating here is the sheer economic chasm between those formats. The analysis makes it painfully clear.
Yeah.
You simply cannot sustain a 30-person production staff, people doing storyboarding, coloring, in-betweening, sound design on pooled short-form.
You just can't.
They note that creators are lucky to make $10 on a short video.
$10.
$10. So an animation that takes a week to produce and gets millions of views might generate the revenue of a fast food meal.
That is insane.
It is. The past success and the massive subscriber counts completely masked this shifting algorithmic landscape.
So if you are James, or really any creator in that position, you are staring at an analytics dashboard that's essentially lying to you.
Yep.
It says millions of people are watching your content, your graph is going up, but the actual cash flow required to pay 30 professional salaries is just evaporated.
It's an illusion.
The numbers look huge, but the economic value of those numbers has completely bottomed out.
That is the terrifying reality of building a business reliant on a single distributor.
Yeah.
When the distributor decides that highly profitable long-form content is no longer what they want to serve to the audience and instead pivots aggressively to a low-revenue format, the creator bears 100% of the impact.
While the platform is just fine.
Oh, the platform still gets its massive engagement numbers to show shareholders, but the artisan foots the bill.
It's so easy to look at a situation like this from the outside and just blame the creator.
Oh, absolutely.
To say, oh, they just aren't putting out enough content or they lost their edge. But if you look closely at what's actually taking down these channels, there is a much more insidious silent killer operating behind the scenes.
The algorithmic bouncers.
Yeah, which brings us right back to those robotic security guards in our mall analogy. We really need to talk about the platform's AI moderation tools.
And the way these machine learning models are functioning right now is creating a literal crisis for a very specific subset of animators.
Let's look at the collateral damage here, because it is bizarrely specific. There is a massive wave of wrongful demonetization currently sweeping through the animation.
It's targeting a very weird...
It is. It is squarely targeting dinosaur and kaiju animators.
Right.
The analysis highlights a petition on change.org that lists several heavily affected channels. We are talking about Dinomania, which has over 1 million subscribers.
A huge...
Yeah. Glass Bottle Games, a Jackass AG Parodies, which does like Transformers, kaiju, and robot animations.
Okay.
A channel called Dino Wow, and perhaps the most absurd example of all, a channel dedicated to the Jurassic World video game that was flagged for misleading family content.
Misleading family content for a video game about eating people with a T-Rex.
Exactly. It sounds almost comical at first, like a targeted algorithmic strike against dinosaurs.
But when you break down how machine learning actually categorizes visual data, the comedy fades really quickly.
Right.
The AI doesn't watch a video and understand the narrative context or the demographic target. It scans for visual signifiers.
Like what?
Bright colors, primary shapes, animated movement, and yes, dinosaurs. It operates on the highly reductive premise that animation plus dinosaurs automatically equals content that are kids.
Which is just so flawed.
Extremely flawed. And if a video is flagged as made for kids, its monetization essentially plummets to zero.
Because of the legal restrictions, right?
Yeah. Exact. Targeted advertising is legally restricted on children's content, so the revenue just stops.
It's like a bouncer at an exclusive club kicking out anyone wearing sneakers because they assume they must be.
Even if it's a 40-year-old wearing a pair of $10,000 vintage collector Jordans.
Exactly. The system lacks all semantic understanding. It just sees cartoon and T-Rex and slams the door shut on their revenue.
Completely blindly.
And these are creators who are putting immense manual effort into these videos. They aren't churning out automated garbage.
No, they're not.
They are artisans trapped in a catch-22, punished by a machine that lumps them in with actual toddlers' programming.
This raises an important question, though, about the sheer danger of outsourcing platform governance entirely to artificial intelligence.
It's terrifying.
When you implement a system that operates on such blunt categorizations, you destroy the nuance required to stay in art. The creators are making high-effort, often complex content for an older demographic, but the visual medium itself is the trigger. And the most chilling part of this reality is the absolute lack of human.
That part genuinely shocked. The Clownfish TV hosts point out that it is almost impossible to get a human handler at YouTube anymore unless you are generating massive top-tier revenue.
Right, the middle class of creators is just left in the dark.
They mentioned that even they, as an established channel, don't know if their own assigned handler is still employed there. The human element has just vanished.
It's just you and the algorithm.
You have a 1 million subscriber channel like Dinomania, an actual business with employees and overhead, crying out for a manual review of a wrongfully flagged video?
And there is just no one there to answer the phone.
Exactly.
It is a Kafkaesque nightmare. The machine takes away your livelihood based on a fundamentally flawed premise, and there is no human mechanism to appeal the...
You're just stuck.
It destroys the financial viability of legitimate artists because the platform's corporate parent has decided that human moderation at scale is simply too expensive or too inefficient to maintain.
But I keep asking myself, why?
Why the paranoia?
Yeah. Why is this AI so incredibly paranoid about anything that even remotely looks like a cartoon? Why the total lack of nuance?
To understand the machine's absolute paranoia, we actually have to look backward. We have to look at the historical trauma of the platform itself.
Yep.
Machines don't develop paranoia in a vacuum. They are trained on historical data sets. And the data that trained this specific AI moderation tool is deeply rooted in a very dark chapter of the platform.
An era widely referred to as the apocalypse.
Yes.
Specifically, the Elsa and Spider-Man.
Oh boy.
If you were on the internet a few years ago, you might remember this. It started as this weird little cottage industry where people would play act in cheap costumes.
Right, Spider-Man, Elsa from Frozen, the Joker.
Yeah. And at first, it was totally wholesome, just people in suits goofing around. But then it devolved into some highly disturbing content.
It got really weird really fast.
You had live action and animated videos of Elsa getting surgery, or these really weird, highly inappropriate situations involving the Joker, all wrapped up in bright, algorithm-friendly, kid-targeted packs.
And the crucial context here is the mechanical failure of the recommendation engine. Kids were watching this content non-stop on autoplay.
They couldn't look away.
The algorithm heavily promoted it because it generated massive watch time and retention metrics. The machine thought it had found the perfect.
Because it was just looking at the numbers.
Exactly. But when mainstream media and parents realized what was actually in these videos, the backlash was apocalyptic.
Right.
It forced the platform to bring the hammer down with unprecedented force on anything that could even remotely be considered kids' content. It was an existential threat to the platform's advertising.
Brands were pulling out by the hundreds.
Right.
So think of the AI like a smoke detector that was in a massive house fire 5 years ago.
That's a great way to put it.
It's so deeply traumatized by that fire that now, if you even think about lighting a single birthday candle, it sets off the sprinklers, calls the fire department, and floods the entire house.
It cannot distinguish between a controlled artistic flame and a 4-alarm fire.
That is exactly what is happening under the hood. The platform's past trauma has literally programmed the current AI's parameters.
And the analysis notes that even storytime animations intended strictly for adults are getting hot in this.
Yeah.
Videos that might drop F-bombs, discuss complex mental health, or deal with heavy existential themes they are being aggressive.
Just because it's drawn.
Exactly. The AI is so terrified that a child might accidentally click on a cartoon and trigger another advertiser boycott that it preemptively demonetizes the content just to be safe.
So what does this all mean?
For the creators trying to work today.
Yes, it means today's legitimate animators are basically serving a digital prison sentence for the crimes committed by bizarre content farmers years ago.
That's exactly it. Because platforms will always, without exception, prioritize brand safety and advertiser retention over creator nuance.
Oh.
When the perceived risk of upsetting a major advertiser is higher, risk mitigation becomes the enemy of art. The AI isn't designed to understand context or appreciate narrative depth.
No.
It's designed to protect the platform's bottom line from another catastrophic PR disaster. And the independent artists are simply the acceptable collateral damage in that corporate equation.
Okay, so the AI is aggressively blocking the artisans at the front door.
Right.
But while it's doing that, it's simultaneously opening the floodgates out back to a completely different type of content.
Oh, yeah.
Which is actively changing the very demographics of the platform itself. We're looking at an ideological battle between the artisan and the slop factory.
And this is where we start to see the macro-level shifts in audience behavior and platform economics. The analysis references data from Roberto Blake, a prominent strategist who tracked Ticula, and the trend line is undeniable.
What does the data say?
The entire YouTube animation genre peaked around 2018 or 2019, and it has been in a sustained downward spiral ever.
Think about the audience. The kids who are watching that golden age of YouTube animation back in 2015 and 2016.
They aren't kids anymore.
Exactly. They're adults with jobs and different media diets. The demographic has aged up.
And the new demographic, today's kids, have entirely different viewing habits, fundamentally shaped by the platforms they grew up on.
What are they watching instead?
The content today's kids are consuming is characterized in the analysis as brain rot and AI slop.
Brain rot. Wow.
We are not talking about narrative storytelling. We are talking about massive, endless volumes of short-form content featuring things like dancing ballerinas, teacup heads, and endlessly looping visual gags.
Just noise.
It is high-frequency, low-effort content designed for immediate, frictionless dopamine.
And this creates a brutal, mathematically impossible situation for a traditional animator. Think about the output disparity here.
It's math.
You have a long-form creator who might take 3 entire months to painstakingly write, storyboard, animate, and edit a 15-minute slice-of-life video.
A true artisan process.
Yes. How on earth do they compete for algorithmic real estate against a foreign content farm that is using generative AI to pump out 10 to 20 slop videos every single day?
They can't. They just can't. And that is the death of the artisan in this. Animation, by its very nature, requires immense human labor and time.
Right.
When the platform's algorithm shifts to demand high-frequency uploads and rewards sheer volume over quality, it inherently punishes traditional animation. We are seeing algorithmic homogenization.
Everything starts to look exactly the same.
Exact. The architecture now rewards retention metrics. How fast can we hook them? How fast can we get them to swipe to the next video over narrative depth or emotional resonance?
It creates an environment where craft is an active liability. Absolutely. I want to pause and ask you, the listener, to think about your own media habits for a second. Think about your own feed.
It's a good exercise.
Are we culturally losing our patience for a well-crafted 15-minute story because our brains have been entirely rewired by 15-second dopamine hits?
Because that is exactly what the platform is betting on.
Really?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just a platform-specific problem. This is a fundamental shift in global media consumption. The platforms have trained the audience to expect an endless buffet of instant gratification. And the most infuriating part for the creators on the ground is the hypocrisy of the enforcement.
Right. The Clownfish TV hosts point out that YouTube constantly claims to be going after the low-effort slop content to clean up the platform.
Oh, they issue press releases about elevating quality all the time.
Yeah, but the creators feel like only the genuine artisans are actually being penalized by the AI. The slop factories seem to be doing just fine, completely untouched by the robotic bouncers.
Because the slop factories understand how to game the system. They don't care about the art, they care about the algorithm.
They treat the platform as a math equation.
Exactly. If the AI changes its parameters, they adjust their generation scripts. The artisans, however, are stuck trying to create meaningful, human-centric work within a system that no longer has any mechanism to value.
But wait, if YouTube is destroying the very creators that bring in millions of loyal, dedicated viewers, that makes zero sense from a traditional business standpoint.
It seems counterintuitive.
Why would they intentionally kill their golden geese? What if this shift towards short-form slop and the throttling of long-form animation isn't just some unfortunate accident of a broken algorithm? According to our sources, this might actually be a deliberate top-down economic strategy. And to understand that, we really have to follow the money.
This requires a careful deconstruction of corporate incentive. The analysis brings up the current CEO of Neil Mohan and his alleged vision for the future of the platform.
Okay, what is that vision?
And that vision is to pivot YouTube away from being a creator-driven, user-generated video site and transform it into a Hollywood streaming service.
A Hollywood streaming service. That completely changes the paradigm of what the website even is.
It really does.
The hosts point to a massive algorithmic break that happened in August of last year. They claim the platform went all in on AI, not just for moderation, but to actively match audiences with content.
And in doing so, they completely destroy the meritocracy.
Let's define what that meritocracy used to look like, because it's important to understand what was lost.
Historically, if a creator released a video and it gained traction quickly, clicked it, liked it, shared it, and watched it all the way through, the algorithm would push it to the trending front page.
It was a democratic process driven by viewer enthusiasm.
Exactly. It didn't matter who you were. If the video was good, it could explode and reach millions.
Right. Channels like The Odd Ones Out or Jaden Animations, they blew up because they were constantly parked on the front page, propelled by sheer viewer demand.
But that mechanism is gone.
It's gone. The algorithm no longer acts as a neutral referee rewarding good content. Now, the AI actively decides what you want to watch before you even search for it. It curates a sterile.
And this brings us to what I think is the most explosive part of this entire deep dive.
The ad revenue theory.
Yeah, this is where we look at the actual margin preservation of the platform.
Right.
We established earlier that Shorts creators are paid very poorly through that pooled revenue model.
Right, the $10 a video thing.
Right. We also know that smaller, unmonetized channels don't receive any ad revenue at all. Now, consider the platform's perspective.
Okay, I'm tracking.
If the AI actively boosts unmonetized channels or heavily pushes Shorts to the audience, the platform gets to keep all or the vast majority of the advertising revenue generated.
Wait, let me make sure I am understanding the math here.
Go for it.
If they heavily promote a massive, fully monetized, long-form channel like The Odd Ones Out, they have to share the lion's share of that ad revenue with the creator, right?
Exactly. It's an expensive video for the platform to promote.
But if they push a bunch of unmonetized channels or cheap short, they just pocket the cash.
Yep.
So you're telling me that the shift away from the front page meritocracy wasn't just to serve viewers better, but potentially a deliberate tactic to hide expensive creators and keep the ad revenue for themselves.
That is the compelling theory presented in the analysis, and economically, it aligns perfectly with corporate profit motives.
Wow.
It's a classic strategy of reducing customer acquisition cost and maximizing margin. If the platform can keep overall user watch time high, which keeps their advertisers happy, and buying inventory without having to pay out massive revenue shares to top-tier creators, they are heavily incentivized to do exactly that.
So they don't even care who is making the content as long as the viewer stays on the app.
Right. It suddenly explains why they might not be in any rush to fix a broken AI moderation system that wrongly demonetizes creators. Demonetized watch time is incredibly profitable for the platform.
The creator's loss is literally the platform's gain.
Exactly.
That completely changes how we view every single recommendation the site gives. When you open your app, it's not suggesting a video because it thinks it's the absolute best video for you.
No.
It might be suggesting it because it's the most profitable video for the platform to show you at that exact second. It's pushing loss leader content to maximize their own margins.
And it highlights a deep systemic irony in the platform. They are actively pruning the very creator-driven, independent, weird artisan content that made them a cultural juggernaut in the first place.
Right, the stuff people actually loved.
All in an attempt to mimic the polished, sanitized, highly controlled environment of traditional Hollywood broadcast. They are discarding their unique value proposition to become just another corporate streaming service.
Which leads to the ultimate sobering piece of advice given in the analysis.
Yes.
They say that creators, and really any business operating in the digital space, should now merely view these platforms as a proof of concept.
A testing ground.
Right. It's a place to build an audience, to see if people actually like your ideas and your art, but it is absolutely no longer a destination to safely monetize and build a long-term business. That ship is completely sailed.
This is the ultimate danger of building your empire on rented land.
Yes.
When the landlord realizes they can make more money by changing the rules, they will redraw the map, fire the security guards, and reconfigure the entire economy to benefit their bottom line.
Your livelihood can vanish overnight.
Not because you failed, but because the algorithm was optimized for someone else's profit. You do not own your audience, and you do not control your...
It is a massive reality check.
Yeah.
So let's briefly retrace our steps here because we've covered a lot of complex economic ground today.
We really have.
We started by looking at the shocking reality of mass layoffs at the odd ones out, proving that even the biggest, most diversified titans are vulnerable to format shifts and pooled revenue mechanics.
Right.
We uncovered the ruthless, unfeeling AI moderation tool that are wiping out niche creators like our dinosaur and kaiju animators without a shred of semantic understanding or human oversight.
The robotic bouncers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We traced the origins of that AI's paranoia back to the historical trauma of the Elsagate era, where content farmers forced a massive, permanent overcorrection. And finally, we followed the money, uncovering the ad revenue theory, the economic incentives driving the platform to deliberately favor cheap slop and unmonetized content over independent artisans, all in pursuit of Hollywood profit margins.
We've seen exactly how structural changes driven by machine learning and ruthless margin preservation have completely dismantled what used to be a thriving, creator-first digital meritocracy.
Which leaves us with a massive question, a final provocative thought I really want you to mull over today.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the platform successfully executes this Hollywood pivot, if they transform into a polished, AI-driven corporate streaming service that actively discards independent mid-tier creators and artisans, does this create a massive cultural vacuum?
Well, nature abhors a vacuum, and digital media is no different. If the human demand for authentic, narrative-driven artisan content still exists, and the current monopoly actively abandons that space to chase dope...
Exactly. Are we on the precipice of a brand new, decentralized video platform rising up?
It's certainly possible.
A new digital space that captures the messy, meritocratic, creator-first spirit that the old guard has seemingly abandoned.
Someone has to fill the void.
Maybe the artisans don't just fade away. Maybe they just need to build a brand new mall.
I think that's exactly what has to happen next.
Thank you so much for joining us in this deep dive. We encourage you to keep questioning the algorithms that curate your digital world. Look a little closer at what is being recommended to your feed and why, and we will see you next time.